some updates. We'll start the meeting. Call the meeting to order. Is there any public comments? Seeing none, moving on to planning and zoning office report.
Okay, April was a pretty good month building permit-wise, and quite a bit of kennel fees and campground and mobile home park licenses for that. I did 15 permits overall, 5 ag and 10 residential. And what I gave you, the stapled sheet, is actually the report that DevNet puts out when we log in the permits there. They never used that before in the office. I'm going to start using that. Shows you as much information as the only thing on here is not the fees that we charge. I'm trying to get I'm working with DevNet to see if that field is in the permit window, but it doesn't show up when I print the report. So I've talked to DevNet a couple times. It's not a high priority to them, but they thought they could pull it off, so we'll see how that works out. But up in the houses, commercial building down in Cissna. Brain bends, just your basic month of getting. We've already had a pretty good start to May, so you're going good there. Debbie's last day, then we had 29 building inspections for the month of April. There won't be any zoning board of appeals this month, but there will probably be one in June. One case right now, it's someone who has an existing kennel license who wants to increase over the, she's got a limit of 10 right now, and she wants to go to above that, so she has to go through the process again. She's paid her license fee, so she's at the license. So that'll probably be in June. Debbie is now no longer with us. Her retirement was in the middle of the month. We're transitioning over. Her email's been disconnected. Her user, everything computer-wise has been taken care of as far as security for that. I have hired a new plumbing inspector, Barney Christensen out of Clifton. He's a retired plumber. He actually was gracious. I called. He was looking for something to keep him busy since he's been retired. Perfect. And his dad used to be the plumbing inspector before us. At least that's what I was told. I have 2 appointments to the Zoning Board of Appeals. It'll be on the agenda for the county board. It's Steve Rapp from rural Melford. He was interested in the past, and him and Mike lived in the same township, so they couldn't be on at the same time, so he's going to take Mike's spot. And then Don Deeney will take Huck's spot as far as the city of Watsika resident. So I'm asking for those 2 appointments to go to the full board. I ran it by policy procedure too. So, and as far as the plumbing inspector, I talked to Kyle that we needed to have an active inspector. We had audit inspections coming up, and we didn't want him to go by. So Kyle said just go hire him, and he came well qualified. So he had his license and stuff. And
are you the one that notifies him, or how does he know to come to my house?
Usually the contractors call us, and then we
call. Oh, that they're ready for inspection.
Some contractors get the names, get the numbers of the inspectors themselves, and then they call them direct. So it's a combination.
I think I knew that. I didn't know why I asked that.
But, so we're getting fully staffed on the Zoning Board of Appeals if the appointments go through, and we got our inspectors in place. So that turned out to be a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, especially the plumbing inspector.
Yeah.
So I think that's it.
This is pretty good.
I don't know why they didn't use it before.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. Move on to Regional Planning Commission. It was brought up at the last county board meeting by Dale Schultz that he felt it might be illegal to have done away with the Regional Planning Commission that we did a year and a half ago, whatever that was. So I had to call into Jim Devine, and Jim Devine called me back, and he concurred with Mr. Schultz on that. But Jim Devine's opinion on it is to leave it lie the way it is, disbanded, until the county's in financial shape to take it back on. So he suggested that we not remove Regional Planning Commission from any ordinance changes, including the subdivision, and we'll just leave it in there and with hopes of hopefully someday starting it back up.
I talked to a couple members on that committee, on that commission. One was Joel, he served on it, and he thought it was overused. They were meeting for, like, they would meet for this kennel ordinance, and that's not, in his opinion, and from the statutes I've been reading, that's not the function of the Regional Planning Commission. It's for the big stuff, like big subdivisions, your big commercial developments, and industrial developments, and that kind of thing. So I think it was overused in the past,
Yeah.
and I think the commission, people who served on that would agree. So, but,
Well, I guess the plan is we'll just kind of see what state throws our way in the next couple months and see what our financial shape looks like over the next couple of years, and if it's a possibility to bring it back, and we'll go from here. So that's about all I had on that as far as updates, unless anybody else had any questions. Nope. Okay, we'll move on to the subdivision ordinance revisions. Once again, it was removed. Last county board meeting, everybody knows it was sent back. So it's up to the committee to decide whether or not we want to, what we want to do with it. Anybody have any input? Personally, I'd like to see it maybe table till next meeting, everybody go back through it, make changes, cross out where Regional Planning Commission was removed, and we'll keep it in the ordinance for now. And I think that's probably the best place.
she did raise some fees, which was probably prudent, and
Yeah.
that should be kept in.
Probably the only changes would be the Regional Planning Commission not removing it. Any input? John? You look like you got something to say.
Well, it's disappointing. I mean, I don't, basically Devine is saying that we can't do away with the Regional Planning Commission?
He's claiming legally we're required to have it, but he doesn't think anybody's going to raise a big issue with it.
Did he cite the state statute that says that?
He did. I don't know what it was.
Well, I mean, if it's in the state statute, we don't have any choice.
Yeah, it
That
is.
was the question I had.
Apparently it is. He was going to try to make it here today, and evidently couldn't do it, so.
I agree with Bob. I mean, that map over there is what it's all about.
Right.
You know, not police and dog kennels. It's about the big picture. I mean, I bet you that hasn't changed in 25 years.
That's the original one.
It's the original one. That's what should be worked on, and everything should kind of revolve around that. I know, and then I don't know, you know, that IDA just got really rolling in the last few years too. That was kind of stagnant until they realized there's nothing here, and then that took off. But, you know, it's all hand in hand. If they, just think if somebody came to the county and wanted to do something, you know, are we ready for whatever that is? I'm not. Right now, everybody's just shuffling around in different buildings. Never cemented one set.
I guess if the state statute says we have to have a Regional Planning Commission, we can't take it out of the ordinance.
Well, yeah, and that's the other reason I was kind of thinking about tabling it until we can get something from Jim Devine, or get him to talk about it at the county board meeting, since he didn't make it here. We'll go from there. If we're going to do it, let's do it legally.
My
Right.
opinion would be if we have to have it, let's use it right.
Yeah, let's do it right.
Absolutely. I just like to know what statute it is so I can look on it with my own eyes. Not that I don't trust them or agree with them. You know, I just feel a little better about it if you can see what it says. That's my only concern otherwise, so.
Yeah. Any further discussion? Just leave it at that. You guys want to table it?
So we can make a motion to do so.
Yeah, motion to table. Motion made by Ernie. Is there a second? Seconded by Troy. Probably should do a roll call on that.
Curtis?
Yes.
Crumwitty?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes. Okay, tabled. Everybody's had a chance to review the claims.
Yes.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve? Motion made by John Sure. Is there a second? Seconded by Ernie Curtis. Excuse me. All in favor? Roll call.
I got
Is there
a
a
question.
discussion? Okay.
Are we all done with inspections at that wind farm up there? Everything is done and we think it's all done the way it's supposed to be?
So we checked the setbacks and make sure they put them where they said they were gonna put them and they go and.
Okay. I noticed in the claims he got quite a bit this past month, but it was
He's done going
nothing
there.
with that,
He's
so.
done going.
yeah.
Is Joel happy?
I have no idea.
I think he worked out that problem he had.
Well, what Bates was doing didn't have anything to do with the roads.
No.
So that would be up to Joel to.
Actually, the only thing I heard from Joel about it is that they had been fired on expansion recently. And that way, they inquired about 3 months ago, but they haven't recently.
Wanted to put up more?
I think they still have, they think Keyside bigger and go into Ford. I don't know if Livingston's gonna be viable because they're, all that stuff they're going through in Fairbury. But that's not my decision, that's what they want.
I went through there yesterday. It's all kind of cleaned up now.
Yeah, they're doing better with it.
Looks like it's ready to turn
Yeah.
the switch on, actually.
There's an article in the paper that,
Last week,
yeah, this was last week in the paper.
signed a contract with ComEd.
Yeah. Should be up and running by midsummer.
So then the next thing, not the zoning this part, but on the assessment side, then we gotta get our surveys in so we can get things audited and rolled.
There's a motion on the floor in a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Curtis?
Yes.
Crumwitty?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes. Any old business? Mr. Sure?
I just wanted to make everybody aware of what's going on with that House Bill 3523 that we sent the resolution down to, I don't know, it was last month or the month before. Anyway, that bill was approved in the House. Our esteemed House representative voted for it, despite the fact that he did not vote. He told me he said he wasn't going to vote for it, well then he didn't vote at all. Anyway, it was approved and sent to the Senate, and yesterday the Senate Committee on Agriculture approved it, and it's going to the floor of the Senate. There is an article which I have a copy of here, it's on the Watchdog's website, about yesterday at the Senate Committee. Talks about everybody, the testimony that was given by quite a few different people. They ignored all the testimony, and in spite of what it says in this article, they ignored it and voted 8-0 to send it to the Senate floor. So it's likely something that'll be passed through the Senate and go to the governor. That's where that's at. Then there's another bill in the Senate that's sponsored right now by Jason Barrickman, Senate Bill 920. And I'm just getting familiar with it, but basically says, notwithstanding any other provision or law, a county may establish standards for wind farms and electrical generating wind devices. And then it goes on from there. Anybody interested can look at it. I printed off a copy of it this morning.
It was Senate Bill 920.
Yeah. It, where I got it. Thought I put it here. I made a copy of. This bill came in the Senate back in January. And when it came to the Senate floor, it went all through committee. When it came to the Senate floor is when Barrickman stepped in here just on Wednesday. And he's now the chief sponsor of the bill. And this amendment is what he introduced on the Senate floor. Well, I had a copy of the paper written with it, but I don't know. Yeah, here it is. This is the history of the bill. So he just became the chief sponsor of the thing, and I think what it does is cover some of our concerns that whatever ordinance we have, it doesn't matter what the state law says.
It
We can
supersedes
establish our
it.
own standards. And so I think if this goes through, it's kind of sneaking in at the end of the legislative session, but if it goes through, I think it'll accomplish most of what we were interested in accomplishing, other than the fact that I'm still very leery of anything. This 3523 is a bill that's a Farm Bureau bill and a wind industry bill. They're the ones that put this together. They're the ones that have pushed it through. And personally, I'm very suspicious of anything that the wind industry is trying to put through the legislature, because it's got to be something that's going to benefit them. I can't believe.
Oh, yeah.
In no way can I believe it'll benefit the individual citizens that are affected by it. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say, was that, that's what update on all that. If anybody wants to look at these papers or whatever, and make copies, you're more than welcome. So, okay.
Any other old business?
I talked to Jim Vine about complaints that we get in our office and what's really the proper procedure, and what am I actually supposed to respond to or answer to as far as people when they have complaints about junk in somebody's yard. And he said, because of the way our nuisance ordinance is written, I don't have a lot of authority, or I shouldn't even be getting involved if it's not a zoning issue. He said that's a health department thing. So I think from just looking at some of the complaint files that Gloria had in her file, I think she's trying to appease too many people with no authority to do that, because there's nothing in the ordinance that she can fine them or order lawns to be mowed or junk to be moved. And Jim concurred, and he thought it was a health department issue, and the county doesn't have any funds to be doing anything like that anyway, as far as cleanup and its private property rights. Unfortunately, it's not neighbors that are upset because it's bad to look at, but it's more of a health, a safety, and environmental issue, and that's the health department. So I'm going to start pushing complaints to the health department if I don't think it's a zoning. Now, if somebody calls and says somebody's running a car repair business out of their tool shed and got cars parked all over the place and they don't have a conditional use, then yeah, that's a zoning issue. But if somebody calls and says, would somebody please mow my neighbor's yard, and I think the prior zoning got too involved in some of that stuff, I think. So that's, I'm trying to figure that out, so I'm going to be a little less.
I think what you're saying is right. It is a health department issue. The problem is, and I think it was identified when Terry came here about those buildings or homes that ought to be torn down. It's the same kind of thing. Nobody has any money, and he doesn't have any authority or any teeth to enforce anything either.
Right.
We had a I mean, we seem to be running into this quite a bit, and I don't know what the answer is, but, we had this at management on Monday when we were going over a contract for the boilers here, what if the guy doesn't live up to his obligations? Hasbargen says, what happened? There's no teeth in it. We don't have, we have so many things that people are supposed to do, but if they don't do them, we can't stop them.
So, but I don't disagree. And besides the fining process and stuff, there's nothing in any of the ordinance that, unless the nuisance one does talk about, but it's criminal activity, it's not prosecution, it's not.
With the health department, like with the restaurant inspections and so forth, when they have violations there, they can be fined, or they have to pay for re-inspections
And that's in their,
so forth.
their ordinance. I mean, that's in the health department rules and
Maybe
regulations.
we need to look at that part of it.
Well, the cities can make you clean your property up.
Typically, they,
Huh?
I think they can ask.
Well, yeah. I don't know that they can force you to, but.
So that's why, well, what if you don't want to do it, then what?
And most of your villages, they don't like to do it because obviously it's an expense, is when they, when they start doing the condemning hearings, they can go through that process and then get control of the property, and then but they have to tear it down. It costs money to do that. And most cities have a fund, money set aside for that specific reason. We don't. And until that's set up, and obviously there's no money laying around to set aside like that. And
Maybe we can take some money.
but
from
as
the
far
health
as your,
department to do
but as
that.
far as your, they need to do this, this, and this. If you want to start, there's no finding process for somebody doesn't ask for an inspection when they're supposed to on final construction. I've noticed that there's a lot of files that I think they're open, but I know they're not because we put the property on the assessment rolls. So who did the final inspection on it? They didn't call for one. But there's no.
How'd they get an occupancy permit? They don't have one.
They don't have one.
And they can tag it, can't they?
They can, but they never did.
We went through that at Logan, that was in the minimum inspection, didn't it? They had to start tearing up the drywall. Wasn't there a house over there we made them tear it down?
I don't know.
They just moved in anyway.
Well, that's stuff you gotta, but that's all a different discussion.
Well, I don't think it's right that I could start a junkyard next to a nice house like you have. But
What makes you
again,
think I have a nice house?
again, what do you do about it?
Define nice though, see, that's the problem. Maybe you don't like the way I mow my yard, even though it's mowed, it's all subjective. But it's private.
So if I don't like it, I just wouldn't, huh? I guess.
Or influence, your neighbors change. I can think of a lot of ways. Now, that's a touchy area, because then you have some personal property.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. Any further old business? Any new business? No new business?
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn? Second. Ernie? Seconded by John, excuse me. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?